All righty. Good afternoon, VV Nation. Woo, happy Thursday, everybody. Market, kind of like the weather here in North Carolina. Not so good. Not so good. All right, James, welcome as a VV Nation insider. We got Alfreda first in the house today. Hi, VV family. Nvidia made me cry again. Oh, man. It's okay. It's okay. I'm looking for it right now to hold the 184 level. Looks like it does want to hold out. Noticing it this morning. We'll see what happens. Not a big swing in Nvidia. Still in the channel across the side. But look at the market pressure right now. NASDAQ down 1.5%. Dow Jones was the only thing I've seen in positive territory today. Let me just check, make sure the alert hit here. Give everyone just a moment, make their way into the room. And has it hit? Yeah, it should hit. Let me. Oh, it did hit? Okay, perfect. Guess my phone might be lagging in here. All right, everybody, let's get to it today. We got the Dow Jones down about 48. NASDAQ feeling the pressure today after Nvidia's earnings, 1.5. There's some other earnings that we want to go over as well when it comes to the software. Ryan, I sent you an email last week. Would you please explain the buy and hold forever search you mentioned last week? What do you mean the buy and hold forever search? I don't think that was me. Toasted market needs to pick a side. It's taking more time than a first time, bro. Stop it. That's a good one, though. All right. Color guard, it's neutral today. VectorVest, caution, no surprise, especially Nvidia beat. We're going to take a look at the earnings here. I mean, the expectations are very high, obviously, but there's just a sense, overwhelmingly, concern from the market with AI in general right now. Geopolitical concerns, all that good stuff. So we want to just keep you on the right side of the market. But yes, looking at the homepage right now, best to have some caution moving forward, right? We only have one trading day left this week. Just taking a look here. Look at the top RT industries. Petroleum, steel, ETFs, natural resources, right? Commodities still driving some of the force here. But as far as today, the pressure is on pretty much across the board. You see petroleum, the only sector still up. So let's go ahead and jump into some news stories, see exactly what is moving the market right now. Where did I put that news story? Oh. There it goes. Voila. All right, as far as the earnings, we've had a lot of big earnings. I got a watch list. We're going to take a look, see how they're doing. I saw Micron's feeling the pressure today, too. I did see that. Nvidia reported after the bell. That's all over the headlines. Clearly, we're going to talk about that. Other big companies, though, Salesforce. For the consumer defensive plays, we got TJ Maxx, Lowe's. I do have an article about the CEO of Lowe's talking about the housing market, some things he's seeing as far as customers. What lost 22%? That would be C3 AI. We had Snowflake here. We'll take a look at C3. Where is it at here? FTAI. We had Zoom. It might have a smaller market cap. I got the story here in just a moment. Now, as far as today, we got Alibaba. Looks like that's unconfirmed here. I did mention the Canadian banks coming out strong in the second half of this week, so look out for those. We've got Dell Technologies being one. Where's the other one? Oh, CoreWeave. CoreWeave is the one I was going to look at as well today. But yeah, C3 AI taking a little bit of a hit here. We'll get to that in just a moment. Now, this is what I did want to focus on. This is Lowe's Corporate. This is actually based right down the road. I've got friends that work there at the corporate center. Most of them are hybrid remote these days ever since COVID. But as I slow down, I just wanted to focus on some of the remarks here. You can see the Lowe's shares, a little bit more than 5% Wednesday's trading after the company said sluggish housing sales. We've all seen those headlines out right now. And economic uncertainty are prompting delays in remodeling and repair projects. For the fourth quarter, revenue went up $20 billion from about just shy of $19 billion from the previous year. But the profit was just $999 million, down from $1.13 billion. That's not a good sign, right? They're taking in more money, but getting less earnings out of that, right? You can see that earnings per share is about $1.99. And so it's dropping on a year-over-year basis here to $1.78. So just be careful if you're holding Lowe's. right? We're just seeing a little bit of a, not necessarily good things there, right? I can see why the stock is under pressure, right? Let's see. As far as this, where is that? Oh yeah, the uncertainty continues to pressure big ticket discretionary do-it-yourself projects. If I had to guess, YouTube is probably a big culprit of that one. I know I can't be the only one that, instead of calling someone to fix a problem at the house, I used YouTube or some kind of AI service to fix it, right? So yeah, I could see that being an issue going forward. As many consumers are reluctant to make significant investments in their homes. That is a different tune than we saw, coming from the COVID days, right? That was one of the big things, was remodeling your house. So in 2026, Lowe's expects sales $92 billion to $94 billion, adjusted earnings of $12.28 to $12.75 a share. You can see, look, gained over 9% over the last year, and the last 60% over the last 5 years. The company's market value is about $148 billion. Interesting. Lowe's, no surprise, I did look at this, rival Home Depot. See reports. Its results Tuesday. Lowe's acquired foundation building materials for where is the other one thing? Oh, here we go. Lowe's said it was eliminating. So this is what I did hear about, and not necessarily from this article, just from people that live around here, is that they had some layoffs. Pretty big layoffs from the corporate structure, essentially. That's, like I said, just located next town over in Mooresville, North Carolina. So I just want to put that out there for those that might be holding Lowe's or, hardware companies in general. Not necessarily looking too good going into this year. Could potential create some buying opportunities depending on the position. One thing I did want to mention, though, real quick before we continue, you've got just over 10 days, 11 days to take advantage of any offers from the Tampa event. Yesterday, I mentioned when I purchased the Nvidia position, I couldn't replicate it in the VectorVest portfolios. But, if you are going to buy a stock, a nice, strong candidate, the power options, especially going into earnings, something like a covered call, or essentially a buy right, if you're buying a position. We do have some courses here. The options jump starter, this will include live mastery sessions here. So if you want to take advantage, if you want more information about this, just go to vectorvest.com/offers. Now, Donald, I'm going to get to your question here. What lost 22%? C3 AI, literally the symbol that says AI. It was down 22%. I can see look like some of that pressure alleviating here, just down about 19% right now. Thursday morning came out the gate pretty strong, right? 17% down. Missed third quarter expectations and announced widespread layoffs. Company, the structure, the cost, just too high, right? They probably got a bunch of easy money from the COVID days, right? Low interest rates. The money ain't so easy anymore, right? Investors need to see results from these positions. This company here, we can look at it. I've picked on it before. If you're holding it, I apologize for picking on it, but it being down 20% today, there's a reason why I did that. Let's see here. So I got a random question about quantum computing. These stocks have kind of tanked in recent months. Rigetti, D-Wave. Is there anything to look for in a possible rebound, or is there dilution? I've said it before, Steve, even Glenn, who brought quantum to our attention. Stick to the technicals, right? For the most part, most of them are way overvalued. But Steve, if you got a question, because I think it's qubits, it's coming up soon, if I'm not mistaken, we can look at some quantum stocks, because I like LAES. I'm kind of actually curious where the value might be on it, where the earnings might be. But let's take a look at some quantum stocks. I'm curious, because usually if someone's not, if we're not talking about it, there might be some opportunities, right? Because by the time we all start talking about it, usually means it's already had its move, right? So let's talk about why it's quiet right now. And I'm almost positive, someone can look it up, I'm almost pretty sure Qubit's earnings is coming up right around the corner here. All right, so C3 AI, yes, it's taken the brute. And this probably isn't painting a good picture for Nvidia. It's probably not helping Nvidia, because they're AI in general, but they got some other issues. Google, talking about AI, I've mentioned this before, Nano Banana 2. It's an AI generator. If you're on Team Android, they came out with the second version, and it's phenomenal. I actually played with it a little bit earlier Qubit March 2nd. Okay, Frenchmont. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I thought it was, y'all think that's a good idea? Maybe we should take a look at some quantum stocks. I'm here for it. I'm here. And Honeywell is having that split off, which is another North Carolina base. They're based out of Charlotte, also right down the street. So I'm curious. Actually, we're going to take a look at some quantum stocks today because I know that spinoff with Honeywell should be coming out soon here. But you see, Google rolled out the Nano Banana 2, which I thought that was a funny name. It is generative AI, essentially, right? It's just AI image, video generation. Look at the competitors: OpenAI, ByteDance, Adobe. Google just has a natural infrastructure to flow their AI products out to customers. I've already used it today, so I'm a customer. I just like what Google is shaping up for. I've been talking about Google for a while, especially since it was greatly undervalued last summer coming out of the tariff turmoil situation there. Some great opportunities. I think it's trading right on fair par with its valuation. I'm not in a rush, but I think I might pick up a little bit. I'm Team Android. I got to pick up some Google. I got to represent the home team. So maybe we should take a look at Google today. Take a look at some potential levels where Google might be interested or interesting. Maybe potential pivot. We'll see. AXTI is the new wonder stock. AXTI. Tabby, remind me that one. We'll do an honorable mention. I'm curious, Tabby. You've always given some good insight here. Let's take a look. All right. Now, I know, a lot of people that were watching this, and I'm actually curious, Clay, do you know how to can you do a poll? I'm just curious. Can you do a poll, Clay? Okay, I don't think you can, but next week I was going to do a poll and see how many people watching this are actually VectorVest subscribers. I'm just curious how many new and how many are not. If you're new, this is one of your first few times, you're just getting some exposure, and there's a stock that you're interested in that we just didn't get a chance to cover. So again, these live streams are only an hour. Check out the free stock analysis report. Give you some insight, gain some confidence with the software if that's the route that you want to choose. All right, let's get to it here. Let's get to the belly of the beast. It's going to be Nvidia here. Nvidia, the AI boom isn't slowing. It's accelerating, right? I mean, think how many Nvidia chips Google had to buy just to bring out that Nano Banana 2. I'm sure they use some of their TPU chips with Broadcom as well. Ryan, when I got this new Pixel phone, you recommended I should have bought Leaps in Google. Yeah. Fair enough. Google's a powerhouse stock. Google is a powerhouse stock. But look, Nvidia Corporation delivered an exceptional, we all know is exceptional. I mean, let's look at the numbers here. Nvidia's operational leverage, gross margin expanded. That was the big concern, right? Because normally if the gross margin tightens, it's hard to get away from that, right? But it's expanding. Operating income rose 84% year over year, and the Blackwell platform is scaling efficiently. Forward guidance suggests 2027 revenue could exceed $340 billion. Whew. Supporting a base case for 70% upside over the next 4 to 5 years if Nvidia maintains dominance. This is the question here. This is what everyone wants to know. If Nvidia maintains dominance, right? It is a old. What's old? What's old, Donald? The CUDA and the software is what's really going to keep them relevant, right? Members, 4 years, 1 month. Okay. Nice. Thank you, French Mama. But yeah, when we get Joey back, we can do a poll on that information. That would be good to know. Now, this analyst here remains bullish, buy rating, but position sizing is cautious due to potential medium-term cyclicality and volatility as AI demand matures, right? Like I said before, with the market cap, the days of getting bags out of Nvidia. Not saying a bag can't come from Nvidia, but it's just matured, to the stock it is today, right? It's still I still think over 240, 250 by the end of the year is not out of the question. We'll see, we'll see how it works. But I own it in my portfolio. I bought a little bit yesterday. I even said if you do buy a stock, I couldn't represent it in the portfolio manager, but doing a buy right, hedging that position, obviously going to earnings, collecting if you don't know this, now if you own 100 stocks just before earnings, the options on these, especially tech stocks, usually dramatically increase, right? Implied volatility increases, therefore the premiums increase. So you can sell them at a much higher price, right? That's just a smart way to do it going forward. If you're new to options or you don't really understand what I'm saying, going to go back here. Take advantage of this information, okay? Take advantage of it. All right. But as far as Nvidia, phenomenal reports here. It's just, I'm going to say it's more market related. Ryan, I asked Anna Banana to draw Ryan AI from VectorVest. Looks just like you. Probably because I'm already in the system. Like, oh yeah, that guy's been requesting images earlier here. But yeah, that's Nvidia's earning. I'm not too crazy concerned about it. I said in the last earnings report, my real fear for Nvidia, at least in the long term, would just be developments coming out of China, which could undercut some of those margins if they come out with cheaper products, right? But the CUDA, the stacks, that's what's giving Nvidia power right now. So if that happens, it would still be down the road quite a bit, right? We'll see. All right, let's get out of here real quick. Let's get over to the graphs. Check out the market real quick. Here's the VectorVest composite. Now, I did use the VectorVest composite. I added earnings per share here. Now, the VectorVest composite, we're tracking close to 10,000 stocks, right? The EPS here, 12-month leading forecast of earnings per share. Look at the forecast. It was on the decline, right? Probably tariffs, revisions, who knows what it was. But look at recently, over the last 6 months. Let's look at a bigger picture here. Let's get rid of RT. We're starting to recover from where we were about a year and a half ago. So I'd like to see the earnings per share tick up. But overall, if we look, the earnings per share has been on the decline. That is somewhat concerning. The valuation is rising, which is nice. You see the value here, the VectorVest composite. But the earnings per share is declining. Now, we are seeing a little bit of a pivot, a little bit of swing back to the upside. So at least for my long-term investors, and really get the big picture of the market here, I want to see this earnings per share continuing to rise here. Now, let's zoom back into a 3-month time span. Here's a VectorVest composite. Look at that. Big bottom wick here. That's end of day. Big bottom wick here. Nice. That looks good. Look, right on the 20-day EMA. Pivot too. See the 20-day EMA here? I like it. I like what I see here. There's Google. Nope, it's still below the 20. Still getting rejection here. I do like the fact that, was overvalued. Right? A little bit of a premium, which is nothing crazy. But coming back to fair valuation territory. This is the pivot I'm kind of wanting to hold around 293. Let's see what the market does. With the color guard right now, I'm not in a rush to get into Google by any means, but I think I might scoop up some Google here at some point. I just like the company. I like what it's doing. You can see it's starting to roll over here. This is what I need it to hold. There's some consolidation here. Maybe treat it like a zone. Let's just add support. Just curious. Let's see support today. We got technical analysis, support. Where's the support line found? This one's way out here. Where is the support? Let's go to change settings here. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. All right. So it's actually right on the top of my zone here. You can see the support line. So that zone is going to go overlap with the zone I have here. So I feel pretty comfortable with that. But again, just the market. I'm still mostly in cash in my portfolio. So I don't really want to deploy a bunch of cash when we're not in a very good situation, right? Again, have patience. Let the market come to you. I'm not in positions. I haven't, except for my 2026 buy and hold portfolio. Otherwise, I'm really just starting this one. So I'm just taking little nibbles here and there of some stocks I've been talking about quite a bit. Here's Remex. I want to see what the rare earths were doing. Still lower left, upper right, above the 20. I do like this gap fill here. This is nice. Look at that. Nice. Try to filling it with this bottom wick. I like the trend of the rare earths right now. I know a lot of people were mentioning it yesterday as far as UAMY. Just kind of touch base on what we mentioned yesterday real quick. It's pivoting off this red line here, right? That's the trade momentum. Let's see where the price action is here. That's the support. Yeah, yesterday's low, if you're trading this little momentum here, it looks like from about $7 to about $9, which, for a nice swing trade, that's definitely a good percentage here. But as far as investments, I've said it many times, the investment opportunity is really going to be better within this channel here, right? You see the exuberance once it crosses above this red line. I wouldn't, me personally, I want to be an investor of this exuberance, right? Maybe more of a trader. Hey, that's fine. You can see opportunities here on both sides, bullish and bearish. But as far as rare earths in general, still looks like the momentum is there. I see the importance of the story. Here is silver. I just kind of caught within this zone, this consolidation zone I was telling you about. This is the top of the cup and handle. This was the target initially. You can see it broke above it, a little bit of extra move, but then dropped right back down to it. Now we're just kind of piddling to the side. So I'm not in a rush to open up any silver. Not in a rush to be bearish on silver either. Just kind of doing what it's due. I might load up on a little bit here in the near future as I add more to my portfolio. But again, just waiting on the market. Not necessarily feel like I need to be rushed. If we take out this prior swing high and I see some momentum pick up from this 20-day EMA, this little bounce here, because it broke it, came back to retest. I love a good 20-day EMA retest. So it's shaping up. I'm just not there quite yet. Here's gold. Gold looks good. It's still above the 20. Not as much pressure. You see the drop. Silver coming back a little bit, but gold coming back much stronger after that drop, right? Much stronger. Taken some great classes here too. Learned a lot. I will say the instructors here, they're phenomenal team. But yeah, gold. I still like gold. Here's Bitcoin. No, I've been telling y'all since that 96. I always saw a little stop in the bleeding once it hit the 60,000, right? I mean, that's the test. Is Bitcoin going to stay hold at 60,000? If it breaks it, I'm looking down closer to 40. We'll see what happens. Platinum is doing well as of late, but again, the market is choosing where it's finding safety right now. And all these geopolitical concerns, right? Gold, rare earths. Someone's saying platinum right now, right? The crypto, not so much, right? There's 1 year. That's when it hit its exuberance. Essentially, if you guys remember in gals, I talked about the cup and handle. That was about a year ago. You see it hit that target from that cup and handle. I haven't talked about that in a while. And that's where I really got the cup and handle ideas for gold and silver to look at that stuff. And what do you know? Their cup and handles are just, much longer time frames. But, and a lot of that trading happened, before I was around, but still coming to find out this cup and handle formation still seem to be pretty poor in my opinion when it comes to asset classes, and especially if you want to take advantage of certain moves or look at targets, whatever it may be. They've done a pretty good job for keeping me on the right side of the trade, and it called that Bitcoin around I think it's at 118, what hit 123,000, and that was down when it was around 60,000 when I was first making that call, and that was pretty bold to do that. But after that, I just have not seen the enthusiasm with Bitcoin, and I've shared it before. Just some of the things I've learned. Not quite as enthused in Bitcoin for certain situations, but certain situations I don't see Bitcoin thriving that well. That's a story for another day. All right, let's get to the earnings here. All right, so this was last week, the news. So I just actually want to do a quick test here. A lot of this was oil. I think Guyana. Show you kind of how to take, a crazy news story off the internet and make some sense to it. Herbalife was Ronaldo did an endorsement here. You see, that's when it was at 18%. So let's just quick test these. See what we've done here. FTI. That's that TechNet. NBR also part of that play here, up 2%. Some of these other ones here, Chevron, Exxon, Herbalife was not an oil play, but kind of a mixed bag on the petroleum. Again, saying just be careful on the mixed bag here. Ryan, are you gloating? No, Bill, I'm not gloating. I just really home in on the fact that I trade the chart, not my heart. You know, it doesn't matter if I love Bitcoin, love crypto. I like the idea of crypto, but there's just some things about Bitcoin in particular that I just don't like as much. Power consumption is one. You know, Bitcoin is an old model, and it's trying to shape a new way for you know, financial and all kinds of different things. But there's just some other things there that I have. Yeah, crypto, right? And the fact that crypto is no different than fiat, except fiat has got, you know, militaries to enforce their currency, right? Bitcoin is pure faith, right? And requires a lot of power to operate, right? I like Stellar XLM personally. I know Visa did a little partnership with them back in the day, but they're one of the more energy efficient ones. But you know, we'll see what happens with crypto down the road. All right, let's get to earnings here. Ryan, how do I add the price to value metric on my heading? Hey, good question, because I had to add it yesterday, actually. How about this? I'll show you right now. All right, so you just right click on any stock you see in your watch list, or you know, if you're in the stock viewer, depends where you're at. You right click, you'll get this big menu here. And my saying is, when in doubt, just right click on it, because you'll get this menu, and this pretty much allows you to say anything you want as far as the position or, you know, any other item. But for this instance, we're going to choose layout. Over on the left are items that are not listed, right? You see price to value. Over on the right are the existing column headers. So essentially, we can just get rid of this one. So what I had to do was I clicked on value divided by price, move it over to the right with the arrow, and by default, it goes to the bottom. So I'm going to click on the arrow and move it where I want it. You know me, I typically keep it right next to my company and symbol. There we go. Let's move it up a little bit here. Oh, price, there we go. And once you got it where you want it, click OK. Oh, as well, for people who've got vision issues or different, you know, size monitors, if you want to change your font up here on the right-hand side, this is Verdana 21, just click on that. There's a little window will come up. So we can make it bigger, smaller, whatever you need to do, but just a little heads up, you can do that. So we'll click OK. EZPW FCFS. What is that? Write that down. I like symbols I don't know. When the pawn brokers are hitting new highs, watch out. Interesting. All right, so there's value divided by price. I can just right click, go to auto fit, right? You know me, I'm going to typically resort it. Here we are. So I got the most undervalued up top. I got the most overvalued on the bottom, right? Zoom. Even though it's greatly undervalued, the pressure is on, down 13%. I mean, is this a COVID stock that's just seen its days? 3% here. Growth rate, 21%. One other thing I want to change here. If I go to layout. Again, like I said, I had to change my layout for video. Oh, where's my sales growth rate? There we go. So I'm going to take sales growth rate. You know me. I usually put it next to my earnings growth rate. Look, we're going to learn some stuff today. We're going to learn how to use this software. It's a down day today. There's caution. Learn to use the software. Don't learn to buy stocks you shouldn't buy today, right? Yeah, I bought some Nvidia. I'm okay with Nvidia. All right, let's scroll over here to the left. VectorVest at all-time is at all-time closing high. Question to get your attention. Is it? We'll take a look at it. Just let's. Ooh, are we? I don't look like. I'm just curious. NVDA. That's the question of the day, right? What's Nvidia doing? 185. Oh, it's. I need to hold that 184. It found its bound. Oh, let me get rid of the. Yeah, it pivoted here in the first thing in the morning. I know it's kind of skewed. If I go to 1 month, there's this level support here. Oh, it's 1-0. Yeah, right on the zone here. Looks like it's still. We'll see if it holds. Right. We'll see if this holds. Kind of broke it. Just got above it. Went back into the zone as of this morning. Nvidia is a dead stock. We'll see. We'll see if it's a dead stock. All right. Let's get back here. Let's look at these. Here's Zoom. Oof. Look, it broke the trend line. No. There's something going on here. I think this might be the AI fear. Maybe it, Teams could be affecting Zoom. But let's look at this on the big picture. 5 years here. Ooh, way overvalued. Was that pumped up because of COVID and stuff, right, guys? Oh, yeah. Look at that. 2020, COVID. That is pure COVID meme momentumness right there. Went from what, $70 to 600. Please tell me someone here is not holding that thing too, right? Please tell me someone's not holding that thing. But here's Zoom. Look at the 1 day. It didn't eat. Well, it got down, obviously, a little bit, but the pressure is there. I mean, other than the earnings and everything there, I mean, it broke this trend line. It broke the trend line. As far as finding a level support here, we're still at session lows. But the value is rising, earnings per share is rising, but there's something going on with this company here. Investors, not enthused at all. Even though the value is rising, even though earnings per share is rising, right now, if you're jumping into it, catching a falling knife, right? Let the dust settle, right? And starts to turn around. If you do some research, if some good things are happening with Zoom, hey, maybe paint a bit different picture. But here's Salesforce. Ooh, another one where that's just losing the faith of the market here. I mean, the stock was overvalued a little bit of a downtrend. It's okay. Value is dropping, but price keeps dropping and value rose. You see that? So that is a pressure from the sentiment of the market, right? That, how is AI going to affect, some of these software stocks, right? At some point, stock's going to be real cheap though, right? And it's looking pretty cheap. Let's just see where it might have pivoted off of. Oh, I still got a gap fill here. I'd hate to think we went this far down and then fill this gap way back here. Interesting. I don't know if I'm quite sold on Salesforce. What I do like, I got a nice bottom wick and a body going right through that 20, right? We'll see what happens with the momentum. I'm not sold on, especially with value starting to roll over, earnings per share rolling over, clearly price momentum to the downside. Here's Dell. Let's see what old Dell's been up to. Yeah, I see the pressure, broke out to the downside, really just consolidation here. But look at the value dropping. Let's zoom in here. Value dropping. Earnings per share on the decline too. Right? It's also tapering down. Be careful with Dell. It does have earnings. I believe that's today after the bell, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see your earnings. Yep. Looks like it will be today after the bell. The fact that it's undervalued, this earnings per share is dropping. I'm seeing a lot of stocks lately. Even the VectorVest composite looks a little iffy, right? See, here's Nvidia. Again, look at the earnings per share, stagnant. Let's add the growth rate. Growth rate went from 35 to 31%. So it's deaccelerating. But the value still ticking up here. Now, if that value starts to roll over, it's going to paint a different picture. Earnings per share rolls over, paints a different picture. But right now, you see rejection at the top. No real reasons for concern with Nvidia as long as it stays in this channel. And if it breaks below this channel, yeah, I would see a problem. I like IO and Q. They're based out of Maryland, by the way. Alfredo, did you know that? They got a lot of ties with a lot of government contracts. I think DARPA is definitely it's been a while since I've researched quantum, but I'm almost positive they had a lot of influence in DARPA. If you don't know what that is, that's important if you're in a quantum company. Here's Lowe's. Trading at a premium, gap down. I don't know about paying a premium for Lowe's, with those comments, as far as the housing market. But look at this. Trying to catch it. You see that? It's trying to catch it. It's dangerous right now. Maybe we start to pivot and break this kind of resistance now, it might be caught in it as a level support, but we got to break through this right here. Not quite sold on it yet. Could be a nice pivot off this trend line, but is it overvalued? And the earnings per share here took a hit before the New Year's. But if we use a date line, does look like the earnings per share ticking up. Yeah, a little bit from the beginning of the year. Growth rate earnings as well went from 2%, now at 3%, nothing crazy. TJ Maxx, nice steady Eddie, lower left, upper right. I like TJ Maxx. I had this in my AMA portfolio last year with Glenn that we did a little bit, obviously before everything happened. And kind of, I don't know if anyone did, paid attention or bought TJ Maxx, but the stock went from 110 now to 158. This is a nice steady Eddie. It is overvalued, premium. I wouldn't be surprised, just, kind of a defensive consumer play on the retail side. Earnings per share accelerated, kind of a slow grind right now. A little slow grind. Still seems to be the upside. Let's see here at the beginning of January. Earnings per share, 5.15. Yeah, 5.17. Slow grind on the earnings per share right now. Here's FTAI. Doesn't look half bad. You can see the momentum here. I mean, the 20-day EMA doing a good job. As long as it, stays above that, we're seeing that momentum to the new high now. I mean, if this thing really picks up some momentum, I'll probably measure this. Maybe look up here. But it's just got to get the sales of the market. It's a transportation company. I do like this overall. Now, the growth rate falling from a fundamental standpoint, that's kind of a warning sign, 29%, right? But the earnings per share is rising, and it's still 29%. So even though it's faltering just a little bit from 36 to 29, still good rating, right? But just be careful. Seems a little bit on the overexcitement side. There might be some news driving this. Just got to see. Nokia. I did a video on Nokia not too long ago with a couple other stocks. We'll take a look at that one. Here is AI. This is why I've been picking on it. You can tell why, right? Earnings per share just dropping. Growth rate, -7. Overvalued. Nope, and just hit a new low. It just gets lower and lower. Not there. This is what you don't want here. That's why you don't marry a stock. Have a plan in place. Stay disciplined. Here's TKO Group. Woo! This thing is, wow. Look at this. I'm just going to bottom, top, play it like that. Ping when you're supposed to ping, pong when you're supposed to pong, right? Don't overthink it. And if it starts behaving outside of this ascending channel, come up with a new strategy, right? But the stock, overvalued, earnings per share is rising, growth rate's 24%. I mean, everything's rising here. Yeah, just paying a premium right now. So that's why I'd stick to the technicals. You got a nice ascending channel here. Pretty easy chart pattern, to stay on the right side. Right now, if it breaks below this, clearly stay disciplined. If it breaks above this, we've talked about it. Usually you get a little bit of momentum, but typically more often than not, what we've seen as examples, just doing these live streams with everyone over the last couple years, typically it's short-lived, right? So if you get a little exuberance above the channel here, it could be short-lived. Just a heads up. I don't have a crystal ball, but it's typically what we see more often than not. Let's see here, but yeah, EPS starting to drop. I like that ascending channel. That's nice. Here's Snowflake. No, that's a nice line there. I like the support here on Snowflake. But again, just retesting from the bottom end. That is a bearish nature there of a stock. Stock keeps retesting the 20 from the bottom end. It means, you don't have to overthink it. It's typically moving, not typically, but it is moving in a bearish manner, right? And just like a bullish manner, you retest it from the top end, right? Boom, boom, boom. And then you come back, retest from the bottom, break above it, retest from the top on the uptrend. So it just kind of rotates back and forth, depending if the stock's moving up or down. Here's CoreWeave. I'm gonna get rid of these now. Doesn't really matter these days. It mattered on this pivot here, but honestly, I mean, the stock's overvalued. I just put a nice little trend line on these two. Looks like it's holding. It does have earnings today, so just be careful of that one. Stock's overvalued, value's declining. And with concerns from Nvidia, I don't know if that's going to help. Look, earnings per share is moving in the right direction. Growth rate, look at that, ticking up again here. You know, if this can get into positive, I mean, went from -$2 to now, what, 17 cents? Whoa, this might be a turnaround story. We see some positive forecasted earnings per share. This might go from, you know, a speculation to, you know, some real data here, some real data. And I like CoreWeave. I like Iron. You know, I know the contracts with Microsoft, some of the other hyperscalers out there. So I see the potential there. There's not much room for error, especially, you know, you see with the news, you know, the retail, probably for the most part, retail investors, you know, driving the stock price up, you know, baking a lot of that deal in already. So just keep that in mind. All right, let's get out of here. All right. Now we got about 19 minutes. How many likes do we have today? Let's just see here. Oh. Now you better hit that like button. All right. I'm going to give you about 30 seconds. Mash the like button. I'm going to stick to Glenn's rule. For every 10 likes, you get a stock here. Wise point on MTI and BSR levels. Also, VectorVest composite at all-time high would be green if not for 5-day rule. Bill, yes. Yes, that is true. But I will say, you know, we don't talk too much about some of the market timing on this live stream. Nvidia is holding there. I do like that. Let's go back to the home page. We're still in neutral. Down 1 1/4 here. Interesting. But yeah, no, I get what you're saying, Bill. I get what you're saying. We've had a lot of red lights recently. We've had some red lights recently here. All right. We got 6 stocks for today. 6 stocks. And while you give me those, I'm going to see what these two are about. Oh, no. Viewer. There we go. First cash. Let's see here. John. All right. We can do Vio. Look at some Vio. I'm just curious about it. Okay. Whoever, this is Tabula. She's always been known for some good fish back in the day. I do like what I see. Up stocks. Buy recommendations. Look at these ratings here. Great long-term price appreciation. We got some safety. Trending the right way. Well, at least if you're bullish. Forecasted data, double digits. Tabula. This is why I like your stocks. And I didn't know the symbol, so I always like stock symbols I don't know. First cash. Look at this one. Whoo! Steady Eddie. This one, maybe a little overextended if you're going to enter it now. Well, depends if it takes out. A little overextended for my liking for right now. But just in general, look at the earnings per share. Growth rate 17%. This is a retail diversified company here. This is first cash. I like both of these. I'm not going to lie. Both of those are hot. Look good. All right, let's go up here. Here are the stocks. Let's clear these out. All right, we got MU, AXTI. Tablet, thank you for that. That's the one I wanted to look at, the other one. MU. Oh, we already got MU. STRL. All right. Looks like we got a couple more likes here. You get a couple more stocks. Better hit that like button. ERX. SNDK. Orla, I will do because that's in my portfolio. Viav, I will do. And Hood, I will do. And that's 2 more stocks than the likes rule, by the way. Hit the like button. All right, let's get to this. Oh, I will look at some quantum real quick. We got 244. We can go through this. Let's graph them. I do want to look at some quantum. I ain't forget. And think I ever skipped NGD, did I? I did not. It was not put in time. All right, here's MU. Again, still above the 20. Value just keeps climbing. $700. I was talking about on the live stream yesterday. Earnings per share flat. That concerns me, right? You see the earnings per share went flat. This is forecasted data. And then shortly after, kind of price action being stagnant. But look at the growth rate of earnings. It actually ticked up to 40% now. It's a phenomenal stock. Yeah, bad day because, or down day because Nvidia. I'd imagine if Nvidia gapped up, Micron would probably would either be right near this new high or might be poking through it, right? I do like it. Just kind of, it's been on a big run from, say, what, $100 now to 400. Hey, little consolidation, not necessarily a bad thing. Maybe it's just fueling up for the next run. Orla, about time. I thought this was going to be my problem gold child in my portfolio, but look at this power. I like it. It had so much consolidation from that mine collapse somewhere down here. I forget the exact date. I think it was early to mid 2025, if I remember correctly. New high, strong. I like this. I probably should have taken this in my portfolio off this 20-day EMA. I like that gold move. Just looking at GLD, the chart, I'm liking gold right now. Here's sterling. I'm just curious where this go. Boop, 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 boop. Yep, that's my rejection. Rejection. Yeah, obviously, if you didn't take profits right at the rejection line, not in a rush to now, is you got the 20-day EMA. See that 20-day EMA? You see it's holding its level of support. See if we can push it back above the channel. I like the stock in general. Just from a fundamental standpoint, EPS is stagnant since the beginning of the year. Growth rate, though, just like Micron, ticking up higher, 27 to 28% as of recently. Woo! Most of the ones you took were early. The talking on CNBC have been pointing out that Nvidia has been selling off the last few quarters despite great earnings report. Yeah, I saw that too. I guess cheating works. What do you mean cheating? Is that cup and handle? Oh, this might be kind of cuppy. What do y'all think? Looks kind of cuppy, right? But as far as that one, I don't know if that's a cup, per se. Not the prettiest cup. Not one I'd want to drink out of. But I see what you're saying, the arch. This one, kind of looks like it broke out, came back, and going off. But this rejection line here, this is what I'd be careful of. Yes. I like that. Here is a SanDisk. And another one, just consolidation here. What I do like is you're not getting a big pullback, right? You're letting the technicals catch up. The 20-day EMA, the 40, the 50, the 200, whatever one you're looking at, right? It's not a bad thing if the stock goes on a huge run and just kind of consolidates, lets the technicals catch up, right? Lets the fundamentals catch up. Look at the fundamentals here trying to catch up, right? So I'm not too concerned about this one. This computer space, hot space, and look at the growth rate. This is one of the highest we've seen yet. 48% earnings per share, $17.75. That's a monster. And when the stock goes up, look at the earnings per share. Still going up too. I like it. Here's Nvidia. Yeah, that growth rate's not too pretty. But yeah, it's true. Be a multi-trillion-dollar company, 43 to what? Still 30%, 31%. I like it. Consolidating. I just wanted to hold this 184. We'll see. Here's Viav Solutions. I like it. A little overextended from the 20. I haven't had a real retest of the 20. You can see right here, kind of using it for retest, even up in this little trend. But nothing here quite yet. I'd wait for the next retest, especially if you're buying. If you're in it, hey, still got a buy rating here. Let's see what RT's doing. It's still ticking up. Nice uptrend. Higher highs. Try to outpace this one here. It's getting close. That momentum is still strong to the upside. Here's ERX. This is energy. Look at this. Nice move. And what I like, again, taking a little breather here. Moving a little sideways over the last, week or so? Almost 2 weeks. Letting the 20-day catch up. This might be another boost. I like it. Look at the RT too. Here's AXTI. Well, this is the first thing I'm going to look at. AXTI freehand line. Boom, boom. A little bit of a cup, a little handle. So I'm just going to do this. Voila. And that's the target. So yeah, candlesticks are right there at the target. I just wanted to hold this. Starts dropping below that. I probably still have the buy. I don't know what your objectives are, but it drops below this, I would have to be a little bit more concerned. But we still got a buy. RT was at almost at 2. So be careful. This stock has been on a move recently. Growth rate and earnings jumping up. Look at the forecasted data here. Let's use this date line. So back here, earnings per share was -0.25, -8% growth rate. Now, positive a penny in the right direction, but look at the growth rate, 22%. I see why investors are paying a premium. Just make sure you stay on the right side of that premium. Here's Hood Markets. Now I was talking about Hood matching around $66 here. I think there we go. I'll put around the low, and this is why. Back here. Still, I'm kind of waiting on here. I see this like a zone. That is a nice level of support. I mean, it's the top of the cup. It's near, valuation. It came in within fair values. Value was what, 60? And the low here, I think it was right around 68. So close to within 10% of our valuation, which is, considered fairly valued. So the low that day was 69. So it's pretty close. Pretty close. I just started selling bullish put spreads on Hood a few days ago. I like Hood. I talked about it before. If you see it get down to 66, me, I like a prior swing high pivot to come off of, which right here, you got the prior swing high, but that's just a nice little cup. That should be natural support, right? We want to be able to keep at the top of the cup here. Now, obviously, if it breaks this, I'd be more concerned. Probably be more pressure on crypto in general, if I had to guess. But Hood's got other things. The Coinbase is all in on crypto. They got some other things. But Hood, you got predictive markets, you got stocks, and their crypto is just way more than just Bitcoin. I mean, there's a lot. They got asset-backed crypto. There's all kinds of crypto out there, not just Bitcoin. I like Hood. I like the trade setup I'm seeing now. Honestly, that is not a bad trade setup. Be careful because my target right here would be the 20-day EMA. That's going to be the real test if we can get above that. But we're not there quite yet. Look out for David Paul's type spring that the prior swing high could be a great buy. Look out for a David Paul type spring at the prior swing high. What do you mean by that? Yeah, I like that too. I like it too. Who knows what's going to happen with crypto? I've said it before. I like crypto. There's some concepts I like about crypto. But the world just has to adopt it. And, it is what it is. But, Bitcoin's kind of the gold standard of crypto. So if that doesn't do too well, it's going to leave a poor taste in people's mouths. But I said this a while back. Last summer, last spring, the next great opportunity in Bitcoin and crypto will be the derivative bubble. Anybody remember? Put a 1 in the comment section if you remember me saying Bitcoin survives, whatever. But the next great opportunity in Bitcoin is going to be the derivative bubble. I still see that occurring. I still see that occurring. Let's see here. Wyckoff Spring. David Paul used to use it all the time. That's interesting. Maybe. But yeah, like finding pivots from prior swing highs, that's usually what I aim for. And I want to make sure the valuation makes sense too. It's typically how I would calculate, some kind of dip buying scenario, not, huge on it, but that just looks nice there at the top of that cup. Not going to lie. All right, here's REIT. Or REI. I thought that was a T, but it was a candlestick. It's an energy company here. Again, energy's looking good. Energy's looking good here. Man, look at that. Yeah, look, there's a 20-day retest. There it is again. I kind of like what I'm seeing here. RT creeping up. Fundamentally, let's go back here. Earnings per share has fallen. Growth rate's falling. It's -8. So no, I'm not coming in here for the fundamentals. I'm coming in here to get my money and run. That's how I think about it. At least for this position here. Now, look at the value just dropping here. You see the resistance. I mean, yeah, you could wait above the 143 and, wait for confirmation if you want. I mean, there's nothing wrong with waiting for confirmation. It just speaks on, behalf of your discipline and how aggressive you are. But yeah, that 20-day EMA, I like it. I like that little accumulation. Nice bounce off of it today here. All right, 255. I like it. Let's look at some quantum real quick. Where is it? I think it's under the... Like I said, it's been a while since I've looked at quantum. But usually when people aren't talking about, well, apparently someone's talking about it, right? Because someone said IonQ is up quite a bit. Where's my quantum? There we go. Quantum computing stocks. This is a list, Glenn and I. There's all kinds of quantum in here. Drug company quantum. Some of the bigger names, Honeywell, Strategy. This one actually needs to be removed. But for whatever reason, in the quantum ETF back in the day, they used to have Strategy. That's why it made it in this list. I don't know if they do now. Somebody have to look at. This was made about a year ago, right when Glenn came on, and those quantum stocks were hot. So yeah, we made a watch list. So first thing I want to do, value divided by price. Where's the value in some of these, right? Weemy has been undervalued for a while. I'm not even gonna fall for that. Let's just graph these here real quick. Let's graph these. Yeah, that's why I said I ain't falling for that one. Value's dropping. That one's interesting. This is a telecom. Look at earnings per share, turnaround story, growth rate, turnaround story. I'm going to write this one down myself. And it's cheap. I like that. I wonder if it's optional. MPG. Okay. Price pressure is on. Again, retesting the bottom of the 20 now. Not in a rush. Oil stocks could do very well this year. Magic trade, I'm not going to disagree with that. There's a lot of factors that go involved with that, right? I will say, geopolitical tensions obviously, help oil stocks. But oil stocks, I would say like this. Me personally right now, I'm getting my money. I'm leaving, right? If I'm going to be an investor, I'm going to treat it like a gold stock. I want undervalued, value rising, earnings per share rising, growth rate rising, which is a lot harder to find with petroleum stocks than it is for some of the miners right now. So... But this is interesting here. Look at the value jumping up. Still climbing. The price pressure is on, but that's okay. There might be an opportunity there at some point. Here's Nvidia. We've already covered that. Still holding the 184. We'll see what happens. Here's MicroStrategy. Undervalued. I talked about this before. I remember. Look at this. Earnings per share went positive. And look at the what? What is going on? I've picked on MicroStrategy so many times, and as you can tell, wasn't a bad idea to pick on it. But look at this growth rate here. What is it? Growth rate was -7. This sucker is right up there with getting close to Micron. There's something going on here. I'm writing down MicroStrategy. There's just something interesting there. Because look at Bitcoin's looking real ugly. In the market, the headlines, oh, it's crypto. I see it in the comments section, Bitcoin, whatever. But this being undervalued and just the turnaround story down below. And look at the RT. What happens if the RT might go positive? MicroStrategy on my radar. It might just be a trade, but something catching my attention. Here's WIT. Value's rising, but price action's not there. Hit a new low. Look, the growth rate and earnings, 10%. A lot of pressure there with this one. Crypto. It's only crypto when it's not making you money, right? MicroStrategy. I like that one. I've never been a MicroStrategy person. So there's way more volatility than you need, for speculation on Bitcoin. That's for sure. The stock was at 500. Way up here. I mean, you can see I was tracking it before, broke out to the downside. Yeah. That's crazy to think you might actually be getting, some fundamentals with some Bitcoin here. That's kind of what the picture I'm painting. That's interesting, but I'm not in a rush to buy Bitcoin right now. So therefore, I'm not in a rush to buy MicroStrategy. Maybe as far as some short-term stuff, I'd have to look at the chart. But as far as an investment, I wouldn't be I'm not in a rush to get into it. Here's WIT. You know, look at the earnings per share. It's all over the place. Growth rate, new low. Broke this support here. I'm not for that. Let's look at some of these other quantums. Qualcomm. Look at the value just dropping. Nope, not there. Here's Amazon. You know, what I like about Amazon, we're on a 3-year chart here, is premium, but now it's undervalued. And now the price pressure is on. Interesting. I still got my mom in it. I got her in, I think, around 110, probably somewhere in here. Let's use a dateline. It's been a while. She's been holding it for a while. I wish she would learn cover calls, but, you know, she'd rather just snow ski in Colorado. Can't say that I blame her. All right, what's the price here? Around 110, 115. I think I got her in. So, yeah, it had been around here, right, I guess. 2000. Yeah, that sounds about right. About 2 years. So, and look, the fundamentals caught up. Growth rates decelerating, kind of like Nvidia, but still looks good. Still looks good. CRML, stock value is $1. Hold up. We'll get to this real quick. Yeah, when it comes to the rare earths and the miners, just be careful. That's a lot of speculation and hope. And I know there's some speculation out there, and, you know, some stories might garnish a little bit more attention than others. But, you know, I do like, look at the earnings per share. It was negative 219, but now it's negative 14, right? So it's moving in the right direction, and the growth rate greatly negative, right? I remember this one. Are they more of a rare earth critical mineral play, right? Yeah, value $1, right? Value's been $1. Oh no, it's in climbing, but it's not like UAMY where it's really climbing. I don't think their mine's built yet. I'd have to look at the story. Anybody remember? Put it in there. Is this the one in Texas or Arkansas? I forget. There's a lot of different, you know, a lot of different miners out there. It's been a while since I've done rare earths. But yeah, Microsoft still looking good. Again, I get rid of my lines here, but this is the area I was looking for because we had this gap. Nice consolidation here, and that's exactly where Microsoft's looking to hopefully find a pivot. You see the low here, undervalued. So the stock was greatly overvalued, close to 550. I mean, under $400 or close to 400. Microsoft doesn't look half bad, but yeah, we'll see what the market's doing. CRML has 4 employees. See what's up? 4 employees causing all that hype. I don't want to go back to it. Inverted cup and handle. Oh, this was the Head and Shoulders on Amazon. Boom, boom, boom. We broke the neckline. We're actually retesting that neckline from the bottom end and the 20-day EMA. That don't look good. I'm going to let you know right now that just from a short-term technical perspective, we'll see what happens. But I could see reasons for rejection there for sure. We'll see what happens though. Microsoft looks good. I like it. Now it's Google looks phenomenal. A little pressure under the 20. I'm not in a rush to get it, but I think will add it at some point. On Microsoft, inverted cup and handle. Oh. What? Well. Interesting. You know, if it was way overvalued and not Microsoft, you know, I would look at that because that's the cup. And, you know, there's the handle. If you break it, you'd go down. But I don't see Microsoft going down, you know, a couple $100. We'll see. You know, I ain't got no crystal ball, but, you know, I like what I see with this gap fill and this pivot off this consolidation before rather than this. You know, if it was different stock, way overvalued, you know, I'd be a little bit more apt. Magic trades. Let's see here. Google I like here. AMD. Not really liking AMD for a while. I mean, I still like the company. I'll always say that. And look, it's actually becoming back undervalued. Last time was a fair valuation. It was right before the ChatGPT deal. You see the fundamentals caught up finally. Now it's back to a fair deal. Look at the earnings per share, too. Moving. All right, here's Defiance. I think this is the ETF that had strategy in it, if I'm not mistaken here. But look at the quantum, lower left, upper right overall. I like that. It's a lot better than some of the other pure play quantums. CRML is my buying list. With its 4 employees. Oh, God. Are you going to be the 5th employee, Sean? Are you going to be the 5th employee? But Taiwan Semi, and down day, it's Nvidia. Otherwise, I'm not too worried about Taiwan Semi. Here's QSI. Now it's getting a little bit more interesting. This is the, actually, Jim Penna helped me put a bag. I sell a call up here, covered call on a bag I had, protecting my bag. It was nice. Made money on it, made money on the bag. It was nice. You see, it's just, and what I liked about it was undervalued at the point. Quantum was crazy. Growth rate was nice. But look at the growth rate dropping like crazy. Look at the value dropping like crazy. Other than some technical swing trading opportunities, the investment is not there. IBM, overvalued. Look at this. Broke its trend line. If I had to guess, probably going to retest that trend line from the bottom end. But look at the value catching up. You might get IBM at a good value here. Hood needs crypto to rebuild. Always protect your bag. Yeah, Blair. Hey, that was pretty cool. Jim Penna taught me that. Really, hey, I don't really trade a lot of stocks, more options. But that was one of the coolest things he ever taught me. Because I sold the premium more than I even bought the stock for, or close to it, if I'm not mistaken. Because it doubled quite a bit. But here's AMAT. That. Just be careful of this. That is I went from $200 to $400. It's doubled in the last few months. That's all I'm going to say. It's greatly outpaced the fundamental, the value, right? Growth rate is dropping. Growth rate and earnings actually single digits. Single digits here. Let's see what we got. Honeywell. Here's Honeywell. All right, so this is the split. So the value is dropping. I don't know what they're doing to their books. They're about to split the company. I think into 3. I'd have to do the research again. It's been a little while. Look at the earnings per share dropping, growth rate dropping. This there's one in particular. I have to do some research on this, but this is interesting. And you can see I'm not the only one that thought this was exciting because it went from around 190 now to 241, just hitting a high. A lot of consolidation on Honeywell. I think it has to do with this deal. I mean, look how much consolidation is here. I don't know how the split is going to be. Probably something I should do some research on, but look at this channel here. This thing could really want to break. I mean, it's about right here. We're still right at the top of the channel. Let's zoom back out. I wonder how long this thing goes. Oh, yeah, there's some pent up. Yeah. Let the data load. There we go. Look at that. This thing might be ready to move. And maybe this restructuring. I was just joking about CRML. What is he studying? Does he work for CRML? What are you talking about CRML for? But Honeywell, that's interesting. I keep Honeywell. I want to do some research on that. I'll let you guys know. Or if you guys know anything about it, let me know. That's a huge multi-year base. That looks good. That's what I'm saying, Magic Trades. Hey, I'm telling you that Honeywell, I know it's moved already, but do your research. You're doing some stock. They're splitting it up, but there's one. I'm pretty sure it's like the aerospace, and there's a segment their quantum portion is literally going to. And I'm pretty sure it's the aerospace one. But do your research. But I'm interested in it. So maybe next week, maybe Monday, I'll do a live stream about Honeywell. See what's going on with it here. Here's COHR, lower left, upper right. Oh, this is the photonics thing. This was in my photonics video I did a little bit, which done phenomenal. Those stocks are about half the list, I would say. Qubit. Look at that. Finally coming back down to my little support zone. Ooh, and trying to break above the 20. This actually might show up and be a nice little trade. And look at the value. Okay, my quantum believer, my qubit believers, I should say. Hey, look at value down here. That's all I'm going to say. Look at value down here, right? Oh, didn't mean to do that. Let's go back to a year. Zoom out a little bit. What time is it? 3:09. Sorry, Clay. We're gonna wrap up here in just a minute. I got Clay in the background, but now we're finding some gold here today. Value was 60 cents. Value itself has almost gone up 1,000%. It's 526 now. Tenfold, right? I don't know. These two being so close together before earnings. Let's see what the growth rate's doing. It was negative. It's kind of all over the place, not going to lie. Earnings per share, it's negative, moving in the right direction. I don't know. I'm kind of interested, though. Leaning towards computer sciences, keep reminding him to use AI, not to be replaced by it. Bill, that's the one. That's the one. All right, we'll get out of here. Where is IONQ? TSEM. Look at the value on that one, too. Yeah, this is a powerful list here. This is in everybody's VectorVest 7 software, by the way, this watch list. Here's LAES. The value's dropping. They got a partnership with SpaceX, if I remember correctly, with their quantum resistant semiconductors, essentially, is what they like to do. Growth rate. See, this company was having some issues, but now it's starting to come back. I like that Qubit one better. Where's IONQ? Did I pass it? Let's put up IONQ real quick. I know it's on the list somewhere. I'm going to tell you right now, that Qubit, that value I'm seeing jumping off like that, that's the one I like. IONQ, I like that one too. I've done my research on IONQ. As you can tell, a lot of that premium is being baked in right now. Earnings per share is on the drop, right? And actually, growth rate is -7. So of this, I think I'm going to have to go with that Qubit or that MicroStrategy. I know MicroStrategy is not quantum. And I'm not saying buying it now, but just the fact that that value, it's undervalued for MicroStrategy. But this one is interesting. That just the value, the fact that it came all the way back down to my little level here, is trying to find some bounce off of it. I know it's probably speculative. I'd have to look at its RV and RS, but I'm probably just, it's quantum, so I'm assuming speculation, right? All right, everybody. Hopefully today was a good session. We did a lot of good things today. Checked some oil stocks from last week, some earnings, quantum, March 2nd. Qubit's earnings. You heard it here first. Honeywell splitting off. We'll take a look at that next week, okay? On that note, everybody have a wonderful Thursday, and I'll see you tomorrow, actually, for the Power Hour. I'm going to do Power Hour 2 p.m., okay? So looking forward to taking all your stocks. Again, unlimited stocks during the Power Hour. You got 1 hour, though, but we're going to hit as many stocks as we can. Take care. Bye.